Good afternoon. My name is Suzanne, and I'm a provincial offences prosecutor. Currently, sorta, working for a municipality in Ontario. I did previously, a number of years ago, work as a prosecutor for the province of Ontario, although I do not represent them and I do not stand for them. As many of you are in the same boat as me, I'm currently on unpaid leave and have been for the last 30 days and will be terminated at the end of next week if I don't comply. I can assure you I will be terminated, just like many of you. So this is all about us. We are all in the same boat. I wanted to touch on very briefly a little bit about some legal concepts and some misinformation. I follow the movement very closely. I follow social media probably in excess. And I see a lot of stuff that's being posted that's misinformation and could be causing a lot of confusion, and that concerns me. Because like medicine, giving the wrong information in law can set people up for failure, and that can be very problematic. And it doesn't just set up one person for failure, it can set up everybody for failure. You heard the previous speaker talking about the lawsuits that have already been filed through Canada. And that's a really important to note, because there's a concept in law called precedence. And what that is we have a hierarchy of process in the legal system. We have the low down at the Ontario Court of Justice, and then we have the top at the Supreme Court of Canada. And then there's the Appeal Court and the Superior Court in the middle. And each province has those levels. And anything that happens at the low level stays at the low level. If you go to the next level, it becomes what's called binding on the lower courts. So the lower courts have to follow and make those same decisions if their matters are similar in fact. You go up to Superior and it affects all the courts below. When you go to the Supreme Court of Canada, it affects all courts in Canada. And this is really important because the cases that are currently filed in the higher court, when those are won, and they will be, those will trickle down and as an umbrella will affect everything below it. And that's what we're watching for. Those are the ones we want. There's also a concept in international law. And international law can make a big difference here in Canada. While it's not binding on any authority here, it certainly can be what's called persuasive. So when you have a matter here in court, you can use matters that have been won in other jurisdictions internationally as a way to persuade the judge. And there's some international matters that are of significant importance. For example, on August 29th, there was an appeal court decision in Australia that found that mandating the vaccine as a condition of employment was against their rights. There's a matter currently in India where they've taken their medical officer of health, who sits on the WHO, to the International Criminal Court in Hague on charges of crimes against humanity and genocide. Those cases are going to be significant when it comes to the cases that are being dealt with here. So I know everybody here wants to have action now. They want to remedy their situation now. Unfortunately, law takes time. And if you want it done right, you have to allow it to take its time. So we have to bide our time, we have to find a new way to exist, and we have to wait for those decisions to come down, and then we will get our just rewards. It's important to know that. It's important when you're looking at your own situation that you make sure that the information that you're obtaining is accurate. Because if you launch a proceeding and you're wrong, and you get a bad decision, it becomes precedence, and it can affect and cause bad decisions for everybody after you. So it's important that you seek legal advice and that you know what you're doing. One of the things that I see frequently written is that mandates are not law. That's blatantly false. A mandate is law. A mandate is a temporary law enacted for a short term, whereas an act or a statute is a law that's mandated for the long term, but they're all equally enforceable. So if you hear somebody tell you that the mandates are not laws, that's false. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now I just want to talk about a couple of other things very quickly. I've been actively involved in this process now for about the last 6 or 7 weeks. And I'm doing this not just for all of you, but I'm doing this because I have 6 grandchildren. And I will fight until my death to make sure that those children have a future. All children. I have been contacted by hundreds of people. And I'm going to share a few stories with you that I'm just absolutely appalled at. I was contacted and spoken to by a nurse who is now terminated or soon will be. And she advised me that in the hospital she works at, they average 5 to 6 stillbirths a year. And from January to June, they had 86. That's an 800% increase in all the mothers were vaccinated. Another nurse I know communicated with me and told me that within a 48-hour period, they had 9 stillbirths. All the mothers were vaccinated. This isn't just about the children who stand before us. This is about all the children we will never get to see, because all children are going to be affected by this. And we have to stand and protect them. We have to guard them. If that means pulling your kids out of school, then do so. There are a ton of teachers that are currently without work that need work. Hire them. There are nurses who do not have work. Hire them. You can't visit your elderly family in long-term care, pull them out, and hire a nurse to come to your home, where you know that your family will be taken care of properly. There's work for everybody. We just have to find an underlying way to get it. And it's there. You know, I had a conversation with my oldest son some time ago. And he said something that was so profound to me, and I want to share that with you. He said, you know, Mom, he said, we're actually the ones that are free. And I said, well, how do you figure that? He said, well, Mom, we're not the ones that have to carry a pass to go to the store. We're not the ones that have to get permission and show a card to go to a restaurant. We can just go buy a steak and some beer and have the friends over and be free. He said, we don't need to show permission or ask permission. We just do what we need to do. We don't need them. And I said, you know what? You are right. We are the free ones. And I'll tell you, over the last 100 years, we have become such a commercialized society that we define ourselves and our existence by what we have instead of who we are. Everything we do is based on money. The house we own, the cars, the TVs, the game systems, the organized sports, the fancy clothes, the trips to the Caribbean. Everything we do, even going to a restaurant and spending $100 on dinner, it's all about status. It's all about money. And the government knows this. And that's exactly what they're doing to control us by our money. Don't give it to them. Walk away from it. Don't allow them to control you. If that means you have to change your standard of living and the way you live, then by all means do it. It was only 2 generations ago that 5 kids in a family slept in the same bed, and guess what? They turned out just fine. There are people all over this province who are working on underground, from underground medical services, underground teaching, underground economies. It's there. We will exist. We will continue on. We just have to modify. But the whole point is we've got to modify to suit us so that we can remain free, not modify to suit the government. We are the free ones. Thank you.